All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the latest episode of Ear to Ear Podcast with C-Ray and Laney Mo. C-Ray here, Laney Mo there. Laney, how you doing this evening, buddy?
How you doing, my man? I'm doing pretty good.
Doing all right. All right.
All
That's
right.
what it is. The Neil Brown era is officially over. Yeah, the football season has officially ended for the West Virginia University Mountaineers. Taking the unfortunate loss in the Scooters. What was it? The Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Taking the loss to Memphis 42-37. I don't know what you say, disappointing end to the disappointing season. Green going 29 of 40 for 328 yards, just like 70 something %. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, rushing for another 95 and another touchdown himself. Seth Hennigan, 18 of 26, 294 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the only thing I can say is if Garrett Green would have played the whole season like he played from the middle of the second quarter to the last play of the game, probably would have won like 9 or 10 games this year.
What if?
I mean, yeah, exactly right. Ifs and buts, all that crap and nuts. I mean, it stinks. It wasn't. I think a lot of us. Well, there were a lot of people I think thought Memphis was going to win. Honestly, I thought that we would win. You thought we would win. You thought we would handle it pretty. You were much closer than I was. It did from the I don't know what quarter of the way through the second quarter. It did turn into kind of a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man. What'd you think?
Well, I thought that both teams get up and down the field, which we finally started to. I don't understand where, Chad Scott said in the after game press conference that I wish I wouldn't have been so conservative, starting off. Why were you? Why? I don't understand that, and I wanted to establish this and feel them out with that, and you wait till you're down 17 before you start. Let's go, upper paced. They still weren't fast, but upper paced. Let's go wide, and let the horses run. And
right,
and it was like too little, too late, and your defense was their defense. I mean, even without Trotter, even without Aubrey Burks, even without, had a couple guys go down, it's just bad defense. We knew it was bad defense. And we couldn't get a stop, of course, when we needed to get a stop. And then they go for a 50-yard field goal on a first down. That game's over. And they miss a field goal. And even if they make that field goal, it only puts them up 8. You're still getting the ball back. West Virginia would have still get the ball back with a score. I mean, a score and 2-point version.
Yeah.
Overtime.
But that's still a pretty. Pretty slow chance of that, though, right? I mean, we not only do we have to go and not only do we got to march the field and get the touchdown, then we have to go for 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, CJ may have gotten it. CJ may not have, because I would assume if we were going to go for 2, that's what probably would have happened. But then again, maybe not. We were 4th and 1, and we
floated 20 yards downfield.
Yeah. So, I mean, I may have tried to throw a fade to the back of the corner for 2. I don't know.
But it was. I'll tell you what, it was an entertaining game. We had fun watching it. And
you had one last bit of fun before the season ended.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it fit that script that we played, fit the season. Right. Clear down to the very last play, fit the season.
I was surprised in the last play of the game and how quickly or just how, I don't know, masterfully it fell apart for us, because the first quarter was bad. We couldn't move the ball. Honestly, at the end of the first quarter, I was thinking this is going to turn into Texas Tech real quick. We get a couple series, our second series, I think, into the second quarter. And then I guess that's when Chad Scott decided to put some balls out there and go for it. And the whole game shifted at that point. It did become a shootout. It became a fun football game. Even if you're not a fan of these two teams, it would have been a fun football game to watch. And Green played really well. Like, he threw good passes. He threw accurate passes. That one touchdown to, I'm sure it was Hudson. I'm certain it was to Hudson, where it was just across the goal line, but it was right over his back shoulder where if Hudson didn't catch it, nobody was catching it. And like that, I mean, that Will Greer at Texas 2018-esque plays. And I'm probably going to catch some fire for saying that because it's Garrett Green. I'm not saying he's Will Greer. I'm not saying he was as good as Will Greer. I'm saying for a point in the game, he played really well. And it was like, where the hell has this been all season? Now, granted, it's a bit of a difference in competition, right? I mean, it's still a G5 school, but it's still a G5 school that beat a couple Power 5 schools this year. So it's, you know what I mean? It just, I was kind of disappointed in how well Green played from the second quarter on to turn around at the end of the game on the last play, which has been a strength for him this year. Going, balls to the wall, hair on fire. We need a 2-minute play. Let's go get it. And he's marched us down the field how many times through the last couple of years in the last 3 minutes of a game?
Yeah.
It was the one time I was confident in him, and then he throws a freaking ball into triple coverage when I think it was a CJ or Jaheim.
No,
somebody
was. Would you talk? What somebody was open? Or
yeah, there was somebody right across the first down marker that was wide open, and I don't remember who it was though. And I'm like, how is that? How you in that?
Well, I just knew when he threw it downfield, I didn't see a WVU jersey close by. It was intended for Gallagher, but it was triple coverage. It was absolutely It was a bad read, bad throw, and then their guy decides to do what, take it to the house, and all you had to do was fall down, and then the whole, and then
I thought we were going to get it back, and then
I did too. I did too.
Oh,
and anybody who says that that's a bad call, the guy gave himself up. I don't agree with it. I think that you should be able to strip a guy to the point to where he's officially down. He did give himself up, and you're not supposed to touch him at that point. But it's no different than a quarterback, even though we've all seen a quarterback slide and get smoked on his way down,
Yeah.
But, and then Garrett did typical Garrett stuff and tries to slide a yard short, and that's what set that melee up at the end. But regardless, it's a loss, and the season's done, and I'm ready to just keep it moving. So,
hey, you know what? The Neil Brown era has ended, but the Rich Rod era 2.0, the remix, if you will, is beginning very soon. It's an era that I think a lot of people are looking forward to, and it's going to be different. It's going to be different. It's going to be very different. I think there's a lot of people, especially a lot of the younger, I guess the kids that are kind of in college right now, don't have a great grasp on what Rich Rodriguez football really is. They probably, they know history and they know what happened. They didn't experience it. Right. So that's coming. And I think the locker room there's going to be a lot of change. Everybody's out there, guys. Everybody's out there right now flipping out because we're losing players. God, we're losing players. Guys, calm down. Listen. Every time a team gets a new coach, there's player transfers, there's player turnover. We're going to have that. Now, I will say this. We have lost a couple pieces that I hate that we lost.
Yeah.
Trotter. Trotter was a big one to me. I was really excited about him. Trey Latham, CJ Donaldson entered the portal today. But just because, minus Trotter, because he's already committed to Missouri, just because they've entered the portal does not necessarily mean they're leaving. Okay? No. They might. Who knows? Rich Rod might be able to talk them back into coming back. Who knows? Yeah. But we're going to have that. The big thing that people seem to be concerned about, and I kind of understand it, being that it's a new coaching change and we're trying to deal with the turnover. The transfer portal window, at least for the one for winter, is half over now. So I think like the halfway point was today. So I'm hoping that somebody somewhere behind the scenes is getting out there, making calls, talking to kids, and trying to move some things in, which I'm sure there is. Like, I don't believe that Rich Rod and his guys are just sitting on their rear ends not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, too, the way I see it is Rich is he's in a process right now putting his staff together. That's the number one thing is getting your staff together. And then once you get your staff molded, that's when you go out and you get guys to fit your scheme, so you don't go out right now and put the carriage before the horse and go get you a linebacker that can only go up and down. He's a run
Downhill.
stopper downhill. Yeah. And if he don't fit your scheme that goes left and right, you're putting a round peg in a square hole, So once you get your staff developed, then you go after and get the players that fit that staff and that scheme. So it's one of them things where the portal, the timing of everything is awful with this playoff thing, because you got the backup at Penn State. His team is literally playing their first round playoff game, and he had to make up his mind to transfer or not to get into portal so he could have a team, so he could be able to go to that team and register for classes and stuff, and he's not the only one that's happening to,
right.
And what about these teams? There's going to be teams that are playing in the middle of January, and you got kids that portal, the first portal's closed. It's done. So then you're kind of stuck for a minute until spring, So the NCAA did not think this out very well, which we all pretty much know they don't think out anything very well.
Big surprise there.
Yeah, but it's the situation is just weird. But people really do need to pump their brakes a little bit, set back, enjoy their holiday. Christmas coming around the corner, New Year's, and this staff and this, Rich and his staff will figure things out. Yeah.
Hey, listen, here's what we all need to do. Football season's over. Everybody needs to get off that, get on the basketball bandwagon.
Yes.
Guess what? We got one game left before Big 12 play starts, and New Year's Eve, Big 12 play begins with Kansas. What a way to start off the new year. Good or bad, we don't know yet. But I will say it's time to switch. I'm trying to make that switch now.
Mm-hmm.
Put myself in the basketball mindset, We've had 6 long years of the same football process. Glad that that's all over. Looking forward to what the future is going to have. I will say this about the transfer portal in spring, though. All these teams are in the playoffs, and now they're going to have transfers. There's going to be kids that are going to be looking to leave there. So I'm not worried. And you know what? Honestly, and this is going to sound bad, and there's a lot of people that are going to not agree with this, but at this point, next year is his first year back. I have zero expectations on next year. I mean, I think the only way I could be disappointed next year is if we only win like 3 or 4 games. And I would be surprised, honestly, if that happens. I have no expectations of like, hey, it's his first year in, we got to win 7 or 8 or not. Like, no, I don't give a crap. It's year one. A lot of people out there right now that are saying, hey, in the days, in the modern times of NIL and the transfer portal, you should be winning your first year. It's kind of a gray area for me. Is it possible to do that? Sure. Is it something that I personally am going to expect of a coach his first year in? No. Year 2 for me, that's a different story. Year 2, you've had a year to look at what's around the country. You've had your chances in the transfer portal, taken some time to get some NIL stuff from our big-time sponsors or donors. Yeah, year 2, I'm going to have some expectations depending on how things go. I don't care what happens in year 1. I'm just glad it's not going to be Neil Brown on the sidelines. And you know what? And if he fires off 8 wins next year, shoot, man, more power. Great. Freaking great. What a great way to start it off. If he fires off 6 wins next year, yeah, it's the guy's first year. I didn't have any expectations anyway. It's all going to be A-okay. Now, an interesting thing about his staff, and Lanny brought this up. We were talking about some staffing stuff a little bit ago. Zach Alley, I heard his name being floated for the defensive coordinator thing. It's
all over the place. He was Rich's DC at Jackson State, and and next thing you know, Oklahoma comes knocking and says, come here, we'll pay you, we'll make you co-DC and linebackers coach. So you're going to go. It's that next step.
It's the next level. Yeah.
It's the next step. You know, the guy I think is 32 years old. You know, it's
Ooh,
like,
man,
yeah,
nice.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think whenever he was DC under Rich, he was like 29, you know, something like that. It was like the youngest DC in football. So,
Yeah.
so it's one of the things like, you know what? And I can totally see him, you know, Rich goes, why be the co-DC there in the linebackers coach? Come here and be my DC. And, you know, let's go with it. My thing is I'm hearing it from different pedestals of media and podcasters and stuff out there that, you know, we're dancing with money. I mean, they're obligating like 7 million to, you know, coaching staff up to, from what I've heard.
That's what I've heard. I heard that the overall number is 7 million. It's supposed to be about 5 million for coordinators and assistant positions, and then to another 2 to 2.5 million for support staff, whatever the hell, I don't know, ball boys and water boys. I don't know.
People got to realize that's top 10 money. I mean, Alabama pays their DC 1.5. Georgia is paying what? So, I mean, if you're obligating West Virginia, we're going to pay we can pay up to 1.5. That's crazy talk. I personally don't think that we're going to sign a DC for 1.5 million, even though you got the money there. You know, the money, even though if you get a chance, just because you got money in the bank, don't mean you got to spend it all. If you can go get yourself if you can go get yourself your guy and you can give him one, hell yeah, give him one, you know. And if he says, well, I want one, you shoot your shot, you know, but you don't have to just throw it out because you have it.
Right. And you know what a good example of this is it's a very, we're jumping tracks when I say this, but like can't remember his name now. The baseball player that the Mets signed for crazy, it was Juan Soto, wasn't it? Soto, Juan Soto, yeah. So, you know, I'm a Yankee fan. Before anybody starts, you know, people are going to bust me on that. I'm a Yankee fan, not a bandwagon. I've been a Yankee fan for a very long time.
Whatever.
Shut up. But you know, the whole deal, me and a buddy was golfing here a couple weeks ago, and he's a Yankee fan, and we were talking about it, and you know, is it really worth spending that much money on one player? My thought was, you know, yeah, it would be a heck of a player to add, and you'd have this big three-headed monster between him, Stanton, and Judge. But it's like, if you turn this around, instead of spending all that money on one A+ player, maybe you take that money and buy 2 or 3 A- players. You know what I mean? That guys that are still good and they're still going to make an impact, and you get a little more bang for your buck, in my opinion. And you can kind of almost apply that, you know, to this argument with a pool of coaching candidates, or co-coaching candidates, assistant coaches. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. But it's the same logic applies. If we can pay $5 million and get 2 guys, what if we can take that same $5 million and get 4 guys that are still really good, still D1, you know, level, still Power 5 level guys? So I don't know. I'm sure that Ren Baker is a mastermind and is going to do this the right way. Not that he makes these decisions. Oh, I mean, he does make these decisions. Sorry, these were all his decisions.
Here's another hot take. People don't lose your minds when you see Rhett Rodriguez on this coaching staff. Because
are people losing their
minds? I don't know.
Well,
it's one of them situations where you're like, you're going to have your son on the coaching staff. Guess what? He played for him. He's been on other coaching staffs with his dad. And it could be that's, you know, he's getting him into the coaching game, you know, so he's going to be on the staff. Now, is he your first one that you announce and say, you know, Rhett Rodriguez is this? No, you don't do that. You say, you say, I'm working on my staff and I've hired blah, 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 so-and-so, whoever, Rhett Rodriguez, you know, you make him part of a bigger hiring thing, but
make it part of a bigger
yeah,
announcement that
yeah,
multiple people. Yeah, it
yeah.
makes sense.
And as far as coaching, we're talking DCs, OC, stuff like that. Everybody knows who the OC is on this staff. You know,
Is he
Rich,
keeping Chad? Is he keeping Chad Scott?
no. There's two guys that's going to go from Brown staff to this staff, and that's Rasheed Marshall and Blaine Stewart. Those are the two guys, West Virginia Blue Bloods. Rasheed Marshall was Rodriguez's first quarterback that he actually signed here, played here, and Blaine, that's West Virginia heritage with his dad.
Blaine is Blaine.
And Blaine is Blaine. And you know what? Blaine has kind of earned his stripes. He was on the staff for Pittsburgh Steelers. He worked his way through. He's been here. So Blaine, it's not going to hurt you to have Blaine. It's a good thing to have Blaine Stewart on your staff.
I think my thing with his son. What?
Oh, you're breaking up really bad. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Everything good? We're good? Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. Little technical difficulties there. One day when we're famous, we're going to have somebody that can do that for us. No, I think one thing for me with Rhett Rodriguez is I couldn't care less that he's on the staff. I do think, though, it's people's reactions should be dependent on what that position is. Like, should he have some sort of super involved, important position? I don't know. Maybe not.
Is he capable of it? That's another thing, too.
I mean, yeah, that's the other thing is like, if he's qualified for it, then who cares if it's his son? Who cares if, you gotta, I think from Rich's standpoint, it's his way of like, kind of like you said, getting his son into the coaching ranks and helping him build his own, make his own way. I mean, who knows? He might do some really good things here and might break off here in a few years for a bigger position somewhere. And great for him if he does. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any reactions on it, so I don't know how people out there are feeling about it. It doesn't really matter to me as long as the guy is competent and qualified to do whatever position his dad hires him for, and he does it, then who cares?
What I want to see, me personally, for my own little greedy ways of I'm saying, diehard blue blood West Virginia, I would love to see Pat White.
Oh God.
No. I'm not saying as a quarterback's coach. Okay. I'm not saying, I want to see Pat White in the program as a recruiting coordinator, as something of that in the system. I want to see Bruce Irving back as something of a defensive line coach, something defensive run coordination, something. I want to see former players back. And you know what? And if they don't cut it, they don't cut it. But it's one of those things where I don't want to fill this staff. I don't want to fill the staff of all ex-players,
Right.
But Rich wants them back, and you know what? They play for him. They know what it takes to be a Mountaineer and play, at Milan Puskar Stadium, and what it means. And like they kind of say, those who can't play the game coach, so it's I just want it to be interesting. And
I think it's going to be
with it.
I think it's going to be interesting for sure. I think there's a lot of there's going to be a lot of hype from now all the way until the first game of 2025. There's no doubt about that. I will say
spring game's going to be off the hook. Yeah, when they have the spring game.
Oh my God, dude! Yeah. It might be an all-time attendance record for the spring game. Which
and I made a joke, and I fully know that my budget can't handle it. Where other people said that I'm not buying tickets. when I made the comment, I'll buy them, and I do plan on buying more tickets this year. I might not be able to. I think if there's, we just might see, and there's more people that's going to jump back on this than what we believe. And I think we crush the season ticket mark of this year. Crush it. If they sold, and let's say the most would be 25,000 season tickets. I think we'd push the barrier of selling 23,000 season tickets.
I think we probably do. I think there's a lot of people. I mean, I've had a lot of people email me and contact me asking about how like the parking passes and stuff work, because they're like, hey, first time, this is my first time buying season tickets, or it's my first time looking at a parking pass. How do you guys do it? And I explained that process to a couple people. I think that's fair. That's kind of like us. So we have 10 tickets and they're all in a straight line on the same row. Like in our section, we have from the aisle seat 10 seats in. Yeah. And you're there, you're kind of like wanting to talk to somebody that's on the other end of the row. And, so we were like, hey, this year we're going to do like a 5 and 5, because the on the aisle side right behind us is not season ticket holders. If it is, they've been selling their tickets for the last 10 years. Yeah. I mean, we've been sitting in that spot for 13 years now, and there's never been the same people there. So the assumption is they're not. So we were going to go like 5 and 5. That way we can all be in a smaller area together. And
everybody sees each other. Yeah.
Right. And I guess with the way the process works, we would have priority over new season ticket holders. So we might be able to still do that. But I think there's a lot of people. It's going to be new. It's going to be a lot of new people in the stadium this year, like season ticket holder wise. I'm excited for it, So I think it's a good thing. Basketball, like I said, in case anybody's wondering, we're going through some of this stuff because we're going to be taking a little bit of a holiday break, this coming Sunday when we normally record. I'm going to be out of town, and then the following, we're doing that whole traveling crap. I just want one holiday, man. What's it like to not travel for the holidays? But so just to let you guys know, we'll be muted for a couple weeks. If we can slip a quick episode in somewhere during the playoffs, we're going to do that. But we hope everybody has a good Christmas, a safe Christmas. If you guys are going to be out there traveling and flying, trains, driving, however you like to get across the country. I'm disappointed that it's not going to snow on Christmas. Like, I miss some white Christmases. I'm going to move north, man. I'm going to make my wife move to Maine. White Christmas every year. But we thank you guys for putting us in through this crap for another year. Some of you out there have been with us from the beginning, and we're about a year in, and we've really enjoyed doing this. So we thank you guys that pay attention and like our stuff and comment, and we wish everybody a very happy holiday season, and I hope you guys have a good week.
From ear to ear, we do wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you for liking, subscribing, passing us on, listening to us, commenting, sharing it. We just hope to go into the next year a little bit better and a little bit more organized at times, and put a little bit more content out there. Don't hesitate to ask us questions. We will answer bluntly, to a fault at times. But more than anything, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Ear to Ear Podcast. See you, Ray, Lanny, Mo. Let's go.